So, Chris Chan documentary. Here's what happened. So, this story has two characters. Their names are CMCW, who we will be calling C, and Joe. Joe is a film student, and he heard about Chris, and he decided that he wanted to make a documentary about Chris. So he actually went out, and he went and contacted Chris in Virginia. He went and he lived in the vicinity of Chris, I think for a couple days. It may have been around a week. And he got Chris's permission, he got Barb's permission, and he filmed a little documentary. He got interviews with them, he followed them around, he filmed their goings-ons, all this stuff. And apparently there's a lot of really good information in there. So he wanted to make this Chris Chan documentary. Not to be confused with the comprehensive Chris Chan documentary by Geno Samuel. So this guy Joe wanted to make this Chris Chan documentary using this footage he had. And he put together a trailer, and it actually looked really good. Now, his goal was he wanted this documentary to actually be entered into, like, film contests. What are those called? Like, what are they called? They're not contests, but they're like filming things for indie filmmakers. Film festivals, that's what they are. Thank you. Film festivals. So, he wanted to enter this documentary into film festivals and share Chris Chan with the world. And so it was going to be basically Chris's life from start to finish, and he was going to try to find people like Megan and interview them now. You know, like, here's the story of Megan from 10 years ago, and then here's what Megan has to say about it now. And he actually went out and sought Megan and got her to do an interview for the movie. So there is currently somewhere an interview with Megan that no one has ever seen that was taken about a week ago, where she actually talks about all the stuff that happened with Chris. So there could be all this new information that nobody knows about, from Megan, from Chris, from Barb, and from other people, that this documentary is going to dive into. So this guy wanted this film to be really legit. So he gets his friend, and his friend's name is C. Or we're going to call him C. So he wants C to reach out to all the big Chris Chan YouTubers. So this is like Dylan Thomas and Geno Samuel and me and Smokey Chris. And he also reached out to Count Dankula because he did an interview with Chris a couple months ago. And if you have not seen that interview, it's amazing. He talks about like the dimensional merge and stuff, and Dankula just goes along with it. So like Dankula would definitely be the biggest person involved in the project, but he wanted to get Chris Chan people to be involved. And the idea is that the Chris Chan YouTubers would narrate different parts of Chris's past. So like someone would get the Clyde Cash saga, or someone would talk about Chris's experience with Megan, someone would talk. And I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds nice. Yeah, I'll do whatever, because, you know, and I like helping people, and there have been other people who have made other Chris Chan stuff that have wanted my input, and I've helped them. So this guy's like, no, you don't understand. This is a legitimate documentary. The guy has already filmed it, and he wants you, he's eventually going to want your help narrating different bits of it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And the guy sends me the trailer. And again, if you've seen the trailer, it's currently up on the guy's Kickstarter, or it might be on YouTube somewhere, but it's that trailer. So he sends me the trailer, and I'm like, oh, this is real, and they have Megan. Like, this is going to be a big deal, and they're trying to get it onto, film festivals, and it's about Chris's struggle with the internet and stuff like that. Like, that's the kind of stuff about Chris that I like. Like, it's not a trolling documentary. It's about how the internet affects people, and this is the story of Chris Chan. Like, this is the exact kind of content that I want to see. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I would absolutely love to be involved in this, but I'm kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know if I'm professional enough to be involved in this. I can't commit to being involved until I see a script. Like, until I know exactly what I'm going to talk about, I can't really say one way or the other if I can be involved in it. But I really support your efforts, and I really like what you're doing, and I definitely want to see more of it. So the guy's like, okay, we'll keep in touch. So the guy goes out and he does the same. He has the same conversation with Gino Samuel and Dylan Thomas and Count Dankula and Smokey Chris and probably other people that I don't know about. I think he also talked to Wang, which I've never heard of, or at least I don't know much about them. Someone mentioned them on one of my past live streams. But he goes out and he talks to a bunch of people, and they all get on board, and everything's looking great. Like this documentary, again, the footage that he already has looks like it's going to be awesome. Then the Kickstarter comes out, and this is where everything goes totally downhill. So I didn't know that there was going to be a Kickstarter. I didn't know that there was going to be any like money involved at all. I thought that the guy already had all the footage, and so I didn't really understand what the Kickstarter was for. But the Kickstarter had like no information on it. It was just a trailer. And it was I know that they paid Chris to be interviewed, and I know that they gave Barb and Chris money to be in the movie. But like that much money? And I know it costs money to enter your film into festivals, but is it really that much? Like in my head I was thinking maybe a $5,000 budget or maybe a couple $1,000. Or if you're going to do it, instead of doing a Kickstarter campaign, you could release trailers on YouTube and you could try to make money from ad revenue and stuff like that. So the $20,000 number totally like wigged me out, and a bunch of other people freaked out at the number too. And it wasn't the documentary. It was mostly the number 20,000. It was just that was too much money. And so you know who didn't like it? You know who especially didn't like it was the Kiwi Farms. Someone just posted a link to the trailer in the chat, so y'all can go and look at that. So the Kiwi Farms really did not like that this guy was making a documentary about Chris, that he had given Chris money, and that now he was e-begging for more money. So the Kiwi Farms starts doxing the guys involved. They start looking at like their past history on the internet, looking at their usernames, looking at other stuff they've been associated with, basically just doing the typical Kiwi Farm stuff where they're trying to like ruin this guy's life because he messed with Chris and because they didn't like him as like they didn't like his character. So this got the guy all depressed, and he then canceled the Kickstarter. And at the moment, I'm not really in. I have not been in contact with Joe. Joe is the film student who actually filmed all this stuff. But from what I can tell, he's really upset by the reaction to the film, to the trailer, and to the Kickstarter, and he doesn't know if he wants to do it anymore. So my opinion has been, and I'm going to preface this by saying, obviously, especially now that the Kickstarter's over, I'm not getting paid for this, and I'm not getting paid to promote it, and if I was in it, I wouldn't be getting paid at all. So I'm just saying this as someone who likes and follows Chris. This is a documentary that I want to get made, and this is something that I want to see, especially the interview with Megan and whatever else they have. I want to see this footage. I want this to get out there. And I find it upsetting that, you know, it's unfortunate that this guy obviously didn't know enough about the Kiwi Farms and about Chris's situation to know that it's probably not a good idea to log on to Kiwi Farms and start promoting your movie there as if they're going to help you with your Kickstarter. Like, that's just not how they operate, and they really should have known better. But it sucks that got the project canceled. And so, at the moment, no one really knows what's going to happen to the footage. No one knows what the guy's going to do, if he's going to release it, if he's going to give it to someone else. But I personally really want to see this one way or the other. And it just sucks because if he had only asked for a couple $1,000s, or if he hadn't done a Kickstarter at all, and he had built up a lot of hype around the movie on YouTube by promoting it, like if he had just asked, if he's like, hey, Dankula, Gino Samuel, Dylan Thomas, if you all just go and you talk about this on your channel and you're like, hey, this movie's going to come out, you guys should watch it, it'll cost $15, and that's how we're going to make our money back, then maybe they would have been able to make their money back. But the way they went about it just did not work, and it sucks. It sucks that all this planning and all this stuff that they have fell apart, because I'm not going to say I like the guy, because obviously I don't know him at all, but he seems like a pretty normal guy. He seems like a normie who just didn't really understand the Chris situation and how to deal with kiwi farms, and so I feel bad that this happened to him. So that's basically the story of the Chris Chan documentary, and that's where we are right now. And if something changes with it, I'll definitely keep you guys updated. We need a GoFundMe page, says Starve Fan. I don't know if they'd accept the money at this point. I think that once the kiwi farms start bullying you, you get pretty spooked and you get pretty scared and demoralized. But I don't know. Who knows? A week from now, he might decide to keep doing it and just see the project through. So who knows? On the Chris subreddit page, people are saying he's still releasing the footage and interviews, including the full "Yep, I'm on TV" director's cut. So I am not on Reddit, mostly because I don't know how to work Reddit because its interface scares me. But if that is the case, then that's awesome, because I would love to see what he currently has. He said it would be probably ready by March of next year, but if he just has sort of I don't know, if he makes it less professional, he could probably get it out sooner.